Hello, my name is Bill Rafalski, and welcome to class number 6 of Agatha Christie at the Movies. Before I talk about today's film, 1-2, Buckle My Shoe, I'm going to share some interesting information about Agatha Christie's birthplace and discuss what is Christie's legacy. Agatha Christie was born in Torquay, a seaside town in Devon, England. Torquay is part of the Unitary Authority area of Torbay. Torquay is located 18 miles south of the county town of Exeter. People who visit Torquay always check out the Agatha Christie Mile. The mile contains 10 clearly marked landmarks with plaques along the seafront property. 8 of the 10 plaques spell out the name of a Christie book character. In 1990, the sculptor Carol Van Den installed a bronze bust of Agatha Christie in the Agatha Christie Mile. Another tourist destination in Torquay is the Torquay Museum. The museum was founded in 1844. It is one of the oldest museums in Devon, England. Exhibits include natural history and ancient Egyptian artifacts, as well as many world cultural artifacts. There is even a mummy of a young boy that dates from 800 BC. The Torquay Museum has Great Britain's only exhibit to Agatha Christie and features personal notes, papers, clothes, first editions of her books, and other memorabilia. Tickets to the museum give visitors unlimited entry to the museum for an entire calendar year. What is Agatha Christie's legacy? The autumn of 2020 marked 100 years since the publication of her first novel, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. Since the publication of her first novel, Dame Agatha published 2 books per year until her death in 1976. Darren French of the magazine Entertainment Weekly wrote about Agatha Christie's stature as a writer and said that the 20th century has been a century of undimmed popularity for the author. Agatha Christie's first British movie adaptation was produced in 1928. It was a silent movie based on her short story, The Coming of Mr. Quin. Many British actors felt that getting cast in several Christie mysteries was a rite of passage and a way to obtain steady work as an actor. From the CEO of the Agatha Christie estate, here are some interesting numbers and facts. 1. There have been 2 billion copies of Agatha Christie books published. 2. Agatha Christie books have only been outsold by the Holy Bible and Shakespeare. 3. Agatha Christie wrote 66 crime novels. There isn't one title in her collection that does not sell well, even 100 years later. Prior to the pandemic, yearly visitors to Christie's estate, Greenway, the holiday home of Agatha Christie, numbered 100,000 visitors per year. CEO Pritchard said about Greenway, "Greenway is a really special place." There are many contemporary movies that were influenced by the writings of Agatha Christie. 2 films that come to mind were Clue with Tim Curry and Knives Out with an all-star cast. Both movies enjoy tongue-in-cheek fun with familiar Agatha Christie plot turns. Just like the Robert B. Parker estate with his fictional characters of Spencer, Jesse Stone, and Sonny Randall, the Christie estate has commissioned a contemporary writer to continue the mysteries of one of Christie's detectives. Sophie Hannah, a best-selling author in her own right, has brought back the character of Hercule Poirot. She has just published her 4th Poirot novel, The Killings of Kingfisher Hall. In it, murders are discovered at an exclusive English estate, and Hercule Poirot is hired to solve the case, of course. I'll be discussing now 1-2 Buckle My Shoe, and after that you'll have the opportunity to watch the movie. 1-2 Buckle My Shoe is another acclaimed Poirot episode, broadcast originally on British television on January 19, 1992. In it, Poirot pays a routine visit to his dentist. In several stories, Agatha Christie wrote that Poirot did not like dental visits. In this story, after his morning appointments, the dentist apparently shoots himself. Chief Inspector Japp recruits Poirot as both a witness and a consultant. something is afoot. This movie marked the first appearance of Philip Jackson as Chief Inspector Japp. Jackson would appear as Japp in most of the Poirot movies until the end of the series in 2013. The book was published in Great Britain in 1940 and in the US in February of 1941. The book was given a different title in the US. The American title was The Patriotic Murders. In the book, Poirot meets a former actress, Mabel Sainsbury, as he leaves his dental appointment. In this meeting, Poirot retrieves a shiny buckle for her that had fallen from her shoe. Between Poirot's appointment and Dr. Morley's death, the dentist had 3 other patients. The patients were Alistair Blunt, a prominent banker, a Greek spy called Ambariotis, and Howard Rakes, an American left-wing activist who disliked Blunt but is enamored with his niece, Janet Oliveira. There are major themes that permeate the book and the movie. The novel is overtly political, with the pervasive gloom of World War II. Frank Carter, a very shady character, is a fascist. Howard Rakes is a confirmed leftist. Blunt's credentials of conservative causes are obvious throughout the entire book. The New York Times called the book a real Agatha Christie thriller, complicated in plot, briskly and complacently simple in narrative, with a swift course of unflagging suspense that leads to a complete surprise. There are some changes from the book in the TV version. The characters of Rakes, Riley, and Barnes are eliminated. With the elimination of Rakes, the character of Blunt's niece has a smaller role. The television adaptation was written by Clive Exton and directed by Ross Devenish. The episode is considered one of the darkest episodes in the Poirot series. This episode is the 5th feature-length adaptation in the series. Another change from the book is the time period. The story has been moved from 1940 to the mid-1930s. The screenwriter also added an opening sequence, set 12 years earlier in India. A group of people are watching a theater production of Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. Pay attention to who is on the stage. In order to shorten the storyline and speed up the plot, the other dentist who shared the office with Dr. Morley and his patients have been removed. Another change from the book is that the entire Secret Service plot line involving Mr. Barnes and Mr. Chapman has been removed. Poirot's valet, George, is also removed, as well as Mrs. Chapman's neighbor. The screenwriter wrote an additional scene with a different Mr. and Mrs. Chapman. This couple provided Poirot with the idea of a clue about marriage certificates. In addition, Helen/Gerda became Blunt's secretary. Interestingly, in the end, Poirot's summing up is word for word from the book. To watch the movie, click on the link below or refer to my email. Call me if you have any difficulty accessing the film. Enjoy.